Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Tuesday Takes. And this is going to be our first live Falcons mock draft ever on Tuesday Takes. So, our inaugural mock draft. We did a full first round mock draft earlier this season, which was fun. And we picked for all the other teams and kind of tried to give you guys an idea of what the rest of the NFL, including the Falcons, was looking at in the first round. Now we're going to focus on the Falcons specifically and give you guys the depth, going through the seventh round. For this one, we're going to have a computer pick for the other teams because we don't want to be here for 8 hours, but we're going to give you guys the Falcons picks and, of course, get your thoughts as well, fellow supporters, both on Patreon and on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're happy to have you here. And yeah, we'll get your guys' take sort of on who's available, what sort of trades we have, and we'll discuss obviously anything you guys want to discuss or prospects. Feel free to throw those in the chat during the show, and we'll try to cover Atlanta's options at all these various picks and see sort of what we can do to help this team out. And no, I'm not taking Jahdae Barron off the board just because they re-signed D. Alford. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But we're still leaving that door open, But before we get too far, Tre'Shon, he's at Tre'Shon, guys. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. We got hit with some news there that you just said. We've had the D. Alford re-sign. It's definitely not changing my draft plans. If Jahdae Barron is there an option, we're definitely that makes the Alford signing make more sense in my opinion if you can upgrade. But I digress. We're less than 20 days from the draft. Could not be doing better. Ready to just, like I've been saying, I feel like every Tuesday now, ready to rip the Band-Aid off. Ready to just ready. I'm ready for the Falcons to do what they're gonna do and take whoever it is in this draft.
I just know it's going to be wild, but we're probably going to bring you a very reasonable mock draft, or maybe not. Maybe we'll get weird with it. We'll see what happens. We'll be considering trades and all that stuff as well. Before we get too far, just going to bring you guys a real quick word from our sponsor. New ad read probably for some of you with my bookie, who is joining us for the remainder of March Madness, which unfortunately does end tonight. It is the championship round, but every game is a chance to cash in with my bookie, guys, and this one is the big one, right? It's an exciting game. I don't know, where my loyalties lie with this one. Kind of like I've been kind of supporting Florida, because I have a bunch of friends that went to Florida, but also, yeah, it probably has to be Florida because even of the Houston UCF rivalry. I don't know if I can get behind Houston in this round, but I was willing to support the Big 12, early on, but now I don't know if the rivalry might be too much for me. But no matter what, guys, my bookie's got a new thing they're running. It's called Bet and Get. It's back to sweeten the deal. You can place a cash bet on March Madness and get a surprise reward. That could be a free bet, cash back, bonus chips. You never know. It's random. And, obviously there's not going to be any underdog upsets here. It's one seeds all the way down, apparently. But it's going to be an exciting game. And when you sign up now with our promo code, it's MM50, like March Madness. You can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure, put in the promo code, let them know we sent you. We appreciate it. You can bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie. Go check those guys out, and thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. All right. Well, I'm going to boot up the PFF Mock Draft Simulator, Tre'Shon. We're going to take a look-see at what's available for the Falcons in this one. See if, everything's behaving. All right. Full disclosure, I had pulled up the mock draft in advance. I'm not literally typing it in at this moment, but we've got a mock draft here with
just to let you guys know how the behind the scenes
here. Yeah, I did pull it up in advance. But this is a randomized top 14, randomized as in, the simulator picks the picks that I think they're usually reasonable. Sometimes it gets weird, but notably in this one, which has not happened often, Shedeur Sanders does go to the Giants at 3, which you don't see too often anymore, but I really don't think it's out of the question. I think the Giants are maybe going to adopt the Falcons strategy of let's just add as many quarterbacks as we possibly can, and we'll see who wins. And hopefully one of them will start, and maybe Shedeur will be the long-term option. But Shedeur at 15 is like a very popular trade down candidate, so that not being there could make things interesting. But you guys can see if you're watching the live stream, all the names that have gone. And a lot, my son Jahdae Barron unfortunately goes to the Saints, which that's gonna crush my heart if that happens. So we can't let this actually be reality. But pretty wild start there, which I think is kind of fun because you see a lot of chalk in the top five. In this one we have Shadur go, and Will Campbell actually goes ahead of Abdul Carter. So it's like some wild stuff. Which if you guys have ever watched an actual NFL draft before, the top is usually less chalky than we think. I'm talking about you Raiders with Cleveland Farrell. So the Raiders are involved in this top six at this point. So who knows what could happen? But the top remaining players for the Falcons, according to the PFF simulator, Tyler Warren. So for all of you wanting that, Pitts replacement, Tyler Warren's there. And of course, Malachi Starks and Mike Green, and those are the top three. I think Starks and Green are obviously guys that the Falcons would strongly consider taking at 15. Luther Burden's there, Ezraku, Kenneth Grant, and then guys like Nolan and James Pierce Jr. are there as well, but we're getting further and further down the board. But given these names, for me, like Starks and Green would probably be the top two guys in the chat. Let us know if you have a preference, and then we can look at potential trade down opportunities as well. But I do think Mike Green being there makes it hard to trade down if you're a fan of Mike Green. But what do you think, Tre'Shon?
And here's my question for you, Kevin: are the phones ringing?
Yes. It looks like we have six teams that are interested. Most of them closer to the back end of the first, but we do have the Packers at 23, Ravens at 27, Commanders at 29, Bills at 30. Wow, there's a lot of teams that want to trade down in this. Jacksonville Jaguars at 36 and Colts at 45 if you want to get really crazy, trading out of the first round entirely. So yeah, four teams offering, are basically in the first round looking to trade up, and two outside the first round. So lots of potential trade opportunities.
Well, the Packers is obviously the most intriguing. It's the highest pick. It makes sense. They have a need for edge rusher. They also have a need for corner. They have, a couple of players that you named off who are there at pick 15 make a lot of sense for them. I'm a big Mike Green. I guess I got to be careful with this. I support the team taking Mike Green.
I love Mike Green's tape.
Mike Green has fantastic tape.
Yes.
I am a supporter of the idea that he can be a good football player here. So that's probably what I'm honestly leaning toward because, I wrote about this today, but we need a pass rusher more than anything. And by all numbers, the best way to land an elite pass rusher is taking one in the first round. Doesn't guarantee that guy's going to be that guy. So, if we're sitting here and we're taking this pick, I think that's where I'm going. But I want to talk to the Packers real quick.
Let's see what the Packers are. I imagine the Packers want to trade up from 23. So that's my math is right, roughly an 8 spot difference.
Okay.
So, significant there. The Packers do, of course, have a second round pick, which will be a part of the deal, obviously. They do have, it looks like they have a pick in every round, so that is pretty good. We won't be able to get a second and a third. That's going to be too rich.
Maybe 159, maybe?
We may be able to get a fourth, according to the simulator, especially if we throw in 242, which is always my favorite pot sweetener pick. But if I throw in 242, it goes from a 64 to a 66% chance. So if only it would have gotten it to a 69% chance, then I'd known we would get this done. But it seems like 124 being a later fourth that it seems 66% chance roughly that we can get it. So that we could try for that. If it's 159, the chance goes up to close to 75%. So
yeah, I see that at 74. So that's not bad. I think I would be happy with 23rd is a lot better than expecting. I figured that kind of like Houston is where I thought maybe that the trade down area starts, which is like pick 25. 23 in this class, while picking up 54 and 159, 2 seconds in this class can be a big difference maker.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm taking a trade down.
No, I
Um,
agree. Yeah. And I think we could probably keep 242 if we go for 159, I would think. As opposed to the fourth where we probably need to trade away one of the sevenths just cuz
yeah.
Green Bay's going to want a pot sweetener at that point. But I agree also that like getting a second and a fourth is probably rich, right? Like, I mean, the simulator is saying it's possible. But that's assuming that the Packers really want to trade up and are willing to outbid teams, which, like, I guess in this scenario, they are having to outbid teams. But, 159 plus 54 is probably a lot closer to the actual value on the trade chart. Whereas I think that fourth is probably a little rich. So, yeah. I mean, I like the sound of that, guys in the chat. Let me know if you guys like the sound of that trade. And you can make and I don't have to give up 242 to get it, guys. So like you can make us make 2 7th round picks, which I know everybody wants to see that. But Moonstar says he likes green, just like Money likes it green. And
It's
Moonstar
hard to
wonders
pass
if
up
we
that
want to.
talent.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. Like I do think Mike Green is a guy that does make them pause. The same thing with like Barron, I would say. With Starks, I mean I think they do love Starks personally. And I don't know if I don't know if they. I think he's a guy that they love that they might be able to get at 23. Maybe there's a
Yeah.
chance. Soler asks if we chose the fat guy from Florida yet. No, that's coming though. We have 2 7s, so just you wait. Just you wait. It's possible. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think this type of trade though would be really hard to pass up on to get a second, like an additional second is so huge for this team because and we'll get there and talk about it, but everyone including myself has been taking Jared Wilson in the third round because that's where he falls in simulators, but I think given like the need that the Falcons have and the dearth of centers in this draft, you're probably going to if you want Jared Wilson, you're probably going to have to take him in a second cuz he's not making it
Yeah.
to and the Falcons don't have a third round pick either. So, I mean, so that they would probably have to go that route. I know you have some day three centers that you like, so we could also consider that depending on what's going on in the second round. But yeah, I think taking this trade package is pretty good. Like they need the picks, and maybe like the Falcons brass will mess it up, but we won't. So we're gonna get it right. So we need the picks.
And like again, skipping out on a talent like Green, I totally understand. The reality is that whoever they take at 23 versus whoever they would take at 15, they're probably going to have very similar to the same production year one. And in this draft class, we've seen that there's a number of guys who have first round grades where you can see the potential in them. And if you do trust this coaching staff, if you trust Nate Ali, who is a great hire that I think is kind of like been forgotten about, and you get these guys, with the right coaching and program, then whoever you take at 23, you should feel that you have the same confidence in your scouts and your people in the building that, the guy that you would want at 15. I think that being scared of suddenly like picking between those two picks, that's just really more than anything just shows a lack of confidence in like the guys you have in the building running the show, because the difference between 15 and 23 is not astronomical in this draft class.
No, and I think as much as I love Green, I think going down to 23 in particular, you're gonna have good options there. Like I think if you're I think if you're talking about going down to Houston's pick or like later in the first round, that's only a few picks away, but I think those few picks will make the difference between some guys being there or not. So we're gonna I think we got Moonstar on board with the trade. Saying we don't have an embarrassment of riches on the roster. We need to focus on the future. I agree. Welcome into Soler as well. Glad to have you here, bud. So we're going to go with the trade. We'll make sure that the Packers actually accept it, and they do. So good. So the Falcons move down to 23 and pick up pick 54, a second rounder, and pick 159, which is a fifth rounder, I hope. It sounds like approximately the fifth round. I don't know. So the Falcons all of a sudden now have 7 picks when moments ago They had 5. So 2 of those are still 7s. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's not like we're walking out of here with like 5 top 100 picks or something, but much better than it was previously. So we get a layup here because Malachi Starks is still on the board. The next highest ranked guys here, Luther Burden III, Emeka Egbuka, who we're not going to actually draft Emeka Egbuka, but I do want to talk about him for a second in a minute. Kelvin Banks and Walter Nolan and James Pierce, along with Savon Revel, Derek Harmon, who a lot of people like, Nick Scourton's here. So again, like I said, a lot of good players still here. And unfortunately, Mike Green went at 21, so that he almost made it. But if this was actually draft night, we would have been like, "Oh my God, is this gonna happen?" But unfortunately, no. But yeah, Malachi Starks is here, so I imagine that that's kind of a layup. But I'm curious if there's anyone else you want to shout out at this point.
I know you're going to talk about Emeka, but I'm just going to say, like, Luther Burden, I'm not advocating for this.
No.
I think he feels like the most falconing option, like, in this area. I think his skill set, he's just like basically a high-end, better version of like what they wanted Ray McCloud to be. Luther Burden would just eat up screens in this offense, the jet sweeps. I think you can get him to do all those things and then stretch the field. There are some concerns. At the Alabama tape, I think was probably like one of like the worst games for a receiver in this draft class. But I don't know. Seeing him here scares me. Like that's like it's one of those things where it's like this isn't what I would do, but this team, And when you said Emeka, I'm like, okay.
No, it's fun to talk about. Like, we're gonna take Malachi Starks, guys. I think everybody I'm definitely gonna advocate for Starks. Like,
we're taking Starks.
We're taking Malachi Starks before anyone panics. Yeah,
I think Starks is the obvious move here, but I think Scourton would be the only other guy I think that you see the argument for as an edge defender. But or James Pierce. But again, they seem to be. I don't know. Everyone seems to be out on Pierce, but hey, Pierce in this scenario.
I mean, yeah, at this point, he's 23rd on the board, so I mean, it's pick 23, right? So, but no, for the same things you said about Luther Burden, I think I love clean prospects. That's why I love Jahdae Barrett and Starks so much. And Emeka is just one of the cleanest prospects there is in this class, and he doesn't have the yards after catch that Burden does, but Egbuka is like one of the better blocking receivers that you'll see. We know how important the run game is to Atlanta, and that's been the thing with Ray that's been really problematic is he can't run block. So you put Egbuka in there instead. Yeah, he doesn't give you the yards after catch, but super awesome route runner. He's got great size. I think he would be a red zone monster in these 3 wide sets, and he gives you plus blocking, like not just decent blocking. Like he would be a plus blocker. So I think he helps the run game as well. It would be great if the Falcons had their pass rush settled and they could afford to take a luxury like a third receiver here. Obviously they can't, right? But I think and Burden is sort of the more aggressive passing game option, which given Zach Robinson's propensity for the pass game, and it seems like we're reshaping towards that, it wouldn't shock me if that was their eventual decision in that sort of scenario too. But what could have been if the defense wasn't a complete train wreck?
And in the same, I've seen a lot of people make a joke that taking Emeka would be like an Arthur Smith move, but for the same reasons you talk about Zach, I'm he comes from the Rams where blocking was very important. When you look at the skill set that Puka and Cooper Kupp had, they both had a very similar skill set, and so pairing someone like London with Emeka and kind of using them interchangeably or being able to do mirrored looks with both of them at the same, on the field together, it definitely, you can kind of see where it would be coming from, because run blocking was an issue last year. And it's kind of one of like you're saying, I think that's the reason why when people talk about upgrading from the receiver, I think that is honestly one of the biggest reasons to do so, is that the run blocking was more of an issue from Ray than anything else. If we had somebody who could do what he did last year, but actually be a plus addition in that part of the game, then I don't think we really have this discussion.
Yeah, exactly. So as fun as that would be as a luxury pick, guys, it's not an option given where the Falcons are, right? I mean, the Falcons are just too desperately in need of help on defense. And Malachi Starks is a great player. Like, we've talked about him before. We're going to go ahead and take Malachi Starks and let the simulator run. But, I think he can compete at nickel. He can compete with Jordan Fuller for the other safety spot. I think long-term Starks is a better safety. Like, I think that's where he's going to provide the plus. Like, honestly, long-term, he's probably like the free safety replacement for Jesse Bates in like 3, 4, 5 seasons. But like in the meantime, I think the two of them just form this dynamic duo where like you can just interchange the two. Like you can just be like, oh yeah, this time Starks is gonna drop and play single high, and Bates is gonna come up in the box. Like this time Bates is gonna drop. Like it would be one of those, like if they really want to keep this, safety tandem, like interchangeable stuff going, and do it at a much higher level, and have sort of unlock that. We saw that a lot with Ryan Nielsen. Wasn't as much of a thing with Jimmy Lake. I think that could be really big for them. And then if you need Starks to play the slot this year, if Alfred doesn't adjust well to Ulbricht's scheme or what have you, or you can't get like a slot corner later in this class, which they might still do. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they double up and take a corner too. But Malachi Starks is just so easy to slot in anywhere and just be like, this is our 5 best secondary players. Starks is going to be like probably number 2 or 3, probably 3, given Bates and Terrell. I don't want to put unrealistic expectations on Starks, but I think if he's not number 3, people are probably going to be disappointed. So, yeah. And it could eventually be 1. I mean, that is that level of player, but I know you like Starks as well, so I don't want to steal all of his thunder, but.
Yeah, no, I think Starks is like one of those guys, like one of the few in this draft class that's like actually earned the scheme versatile tagline. Like you were talking about, just with the ability to interchange him and Bates usage, which is kind of like what we were hoping to see last year with Simmons, and we didn't really see a ton of that. I think, he offers you versatility on the back end, but I think he's a real slot defender as well. I think that he is somebody that would get actual, snaps out there in a lot of situations and passing situations where he would be asked to kind of take away, whoever was there. And I think that he's somebody that could get the job done. I think he'd be a big addition in the run more than anything. That's where I really see like him being able to get snaps there early. And I think that he would be able to, solve the issue of what happens with Jesse Bates towards the end of his career when you think about, being ready and prepared for your back end plan, your back end succession plan, and everything like that. So, it's a move that makes a lot of sense and solves a couple of problems for them. And at 23 in a trade down scenario, this is kind of like the dream situation. When you do this trade down, you are hoping that in a deep class, a top talent like Starks falls. So I think you sprint this pick in when he's there, and I think that's what the Falcons would do too.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they really do love Starks. So I think they would just be high-fiving like crazy in that draft room after something like this going off. So now we get to the second round at 46, and yeah, I mean, I know Moonstars is speaking of doubling up and getting a corner. Top 2 are corners in Savon Ravel and Trey Amos. Maxwell Hairston's here as well. And then we got a couple of edge rushers in Princely Uman-Mielen and Braden Swinson. And then there's linebackers too, Demetrius Knight and Carson Schweischinger. So a lot of good options here as well. I think there's a lot of compelling ways we could take this, but is there anyone in particular that stands out to you at this point?
Yeah, so I said it earlier, but I feel like I'm not wanting to force the team to reach here, but did you say Braden Swinson was on the board?
Yeah, that's who I was going to talk about too. But please tell the people about Braden Swinson. Yeah.
So Swinson is a name that's like started to rise up the boards as of I'd say the last like couple of weeks or so. He is kind of like the prototypical 3-4 edge, about 6'5", 250. He has the build that you're looking for in a defense like this, where you can drop him and use him the way an outside linebacker should be, as well as being able to play the run and everything like that. And most importantly, rush the quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of snaps under his belt. He didn't get the starting role until this last year. So, you see the potential in his game. He's very good with his hands. He's somebody that I think has started to come on later in the process just because it took a lot of time to get through all these other edge rushers and all their film and everything like that. But he's somebody that I think Nate Ali would be able to do a lot with. He has a good history with edge defenders that are kind of built of this mold. He was just with Daniel Hunter last year. And I think these kind of 3-4 edge players are still what the team wants. That's what Floyd is to me, and I think that's going to be the direction that they're looking. And kind of like as you said before, it's still going to be 4-down linemen. It could even be 4-3 under, but one way or another, they're going to have 4 guys on that line, and he's somebody that I think gives you the ability to do 4-3 under, 3-4 under, 3-4 like base, kind of whatever you want to do. He fits their, vision that I think they have for the defense, where they want to go, in that being able to mesh what Ulbrich likes with what Raheem likes.
Yeah, yeah. I think Swinson is really gained a lot of steam. Just a 1-year starter, so kind of like I think a late bloomer. At LSU, I think his tape is actually really encouraging. More refined than you'd think for a guy that's just a 1-year starter. And
Yeah.
Given Uman Mielen, which Senior Bowl was not impressive. There's been all this stuff about character and whatnot, and again, who knows, if that'll matter to the Falcons or not. It typically seems to matter to them. But I don't know. I mean, I've drafted him to the Falcons before because I think he's a good pass rusher. Swinson I think has more overall ability. He's a fine run defender. I mean, he's not an elite run defender or anything, but he's fine there. Got a good build. I think he's the edge in this scenario that you would go for. No question. Savon Ravel does tempt me because and again, Ravel himself is also tough because this is a guy that missed almost the entire season and has an elite season in 2023. Some of the best corner tape you'll watch. Now it's at ECU obviously, but looks amazing. Plays a couple of games, continues to look amazing, and then gets hurt. So he missed almost the entire year. He's gonna be coming off a serious injury. But you're sort of, the reason he's here is because you're injury, 1 year of elite production. What do we make of that at a lower level of competition? We haven't been able to see him work out or do anything. But it's possible you could be getting a CB1 on day 2, right? So it's so that's why people will still I'm kind of surprised he's still here, because I think there will be teams that are well, we're willing to roll the dice at this point and see what we can get. So
yeah, man, he's nice. I think teams were expecting him to be a little further along in the process. He was at Shrine. He didn't interview, or he did interviews, but obviously wasn't able to participate or anything like that. And so I think he's gotten kind of a little lost in the shuffle. But I mean, this is somebody, when you think about what the Falcons want out of their defensive quarterbacks, he just seems like a natural fit. 6'3", big outside corner, and just kind of has a lot of range. Really good straight line speed. I think he's going to be able to play in both man or zone. So again, when we talk about these players that are able to kind of be, scheme versatile and be able to play in both a Raheem and Ulbrich system, and what that looks like or would entail, finding guys who have skills and ability, proven at being able to do multiple things, are kind of what I think, I'm looking for at this point. So Rebel would be, I think he'd be a great pick. I know you mentioned Harrison earlier. He's in, he came in for a top 30 visit. I know our boy Daniel Flick wrote up an article on him. Seems like a player, again, that the team would seemingly be really interested in and would be a good fit if he's here at this pick. So, there's a lot of good options, and this is why we wanted to do the trade down, right? Because we have another pick at 54 right after this one. So, we'll be able to see whatever we have waiting for us there. But I think for me, I'm taking Swinson here.
Yeah, I agree. I think edge is the more pressing need, especially since they got Starks. If they didn't get Starks, I think we take Revel here, almost certainly. But with Starks here, the secondary's not crowded, but there's not exactly a clean path to Revel starting immediately, which might actually be perfect for him, honestly. But like, Mike Hughes is on a 3-year deal, 2-year deal, so they're expecting him to stick around. Yeah. They're expecting him to stick around for at least a couple years. He's basically the placeholder at CB2, and I think they're going to draft another outside corner or hope that Clark Phillips takes over or whatever. Like in those 2 years, like that's their timeline to find another corner basically outside. But like they can afford probably to wait, and I agree with what you said. So we're gonna go with Swinson and start chipping away at the pass rush need, which probably won't be the last pick dedicated to that. So go with Braden Swinson here at 46. Then we'll see who's up here at pick 54. So top names on the board at this stage: Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State; Benjamin Morrison, corner from Notre Dame; JT Tumaloau from Ohio State; Demetrius Knight at linebacker; a couple running backs. If we want to get real weird, Elijah Arroyo at tight end. If we want to get really weird, Shamar Turner, Jack Sawyer, Jared Ivey, and Darian Porter are down there as well. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, who I think the team would probably draft, which is Jared Wilson, right? Like, I get it. Like, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, he's, maybe we don't have a 3rd round pick, right? So if we want Jared Wilson, this is the only time. We do have one trade down offer to go down to 90, but he will probably be gone by then. So, I mean, that would be a crazy trade up also. It's like a 35 spot trade up. So Rams, calm down a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good players left here, like you said. There's a lot of ways I think you could go with this pick.
Yeah, and so this is somebody that I wish that we would have the opportunity to take, because like you said, even with that trade down, not having the 3rd, it's a bummer, because this is a draft where, again, it would be really great to have that pick, because even maybe you could take Wilson now and still land another talent, see who else falls, but you kind of have to make that decision of, if Wilson is your guy, then this is the pick you have to spend to get him. Someone like, CJ West would be a lot of fun. Again, somebody that's like a slam dunk 3rd round pick. I think he's probably going to go there. Maybe he sneaks into the late 2nd. But there's a lot of talent around here. We haven't really talked about it yet. I think linebackers on their radar still, but I think they're really just going to be looking for somebody like a Mike. They've got so many Wills on the roster right now, so I think they're just really going to look for that replacement, kind of with a later pick here. Maybe we'll see what the board looks like. So, it's tough, but it kind of feels like that they would go after Wilson now. I think
we can do whatever we want. We're not the team.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Kevin?
I mean, I'm thinking JT Tumaloau and just doubling up on the edge, because like Tumaloau, look, we know he's never really, this year he had the sack numbers. Don't get me wrong, but Tumaloau as a pass rusher has been very inconsistent, but he's a great run defender, and he is built in a lab to play 4-3 defensive end. He's huge, great size, good athlete. This year showed he could actually become a really good finisher. I don't know that he's a good pressure player. So this year kind of showed you wow, I mean, he did have a lot of cleanup sacks. Don't get me wrong. His sack numbers are, out of control. I think he's credited with 15 this year. It wasn't that good. Let's be honest. It wasn't that good, but it was good. Better than last year, where he took a step, and he's one of the best run defending edges in the class, and would give them a huge floor there. Or you could go the other way, which I think some people like Jack Sawyer even better. I don't think Sawyer's as prototypical. I think Tumaloau is much more NFL body type. I think Jack Sawyer will still be a good pro, but it's just I would have a hard time passing. But I know Benjamin Morrison has a lot of fans. And you said Mike linebacker. I mean, Demetrius Knight is a Mike linebacker. So Um,
And I'd be
older
happy with
prospect,
Knight,
but
I
yeah,
guess at this point. I know that's a name where I saw him going at. I think it's a little high for a Mike, but like, that's somebody where I'm like, okay, well, we have somebody that can play the run. Like,
yeah, yeah. He's good. He really impressed this year. I was kind of surprised, and
yeah.
of course my Knight brethren, obviously have to give them preferable treatment. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious who some of the other names would be for you.
I know Darian Porter. I've noticed. I feel like there's a lot of Darian Porter fans. Look, man, this just is like I'm like this reminds me of another Alford, and I don't know how many people remember Robert Alford, but I'm like, I see the potential. Porter looks a lot of fun, but I'm like, man, this guy just looks like a walking PI, and I'm I'm not really sure that that's a habit that he's going to be able to break quickly. 54 seems a little too rich for me personally. When we look at some of these offensive players, Trey Harris is a little intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he really impressed me at Shrine. He's got, I think the ability to kind of fit into this offense, pretty seamlessly. He provides a good need with having somebody that could stretch the field. Um, Still, defense. I'm with you. I think we just got to stick on that side of the ball. The offense is going to have to make do, and really just kind of hit on a later pick if we are going to invest. Man, I really like CJ West. Alfred Collins is another name that I know has been gaining more traction. I don't know. It's just weird with Do and kind of like the expectation right now, and I'm just kind of like of the expectation where I'm like, they've brought everybody else back, so at this point I just have to assume that he's in the fold as a part of the plans for next
Right.
year.
That they've just sort of decided to give everyone a mulligan except Jarrett, apparently. To be fair, Jarrett also had the biggest cap savings. That's probably more of the driver there. But it seems like they were like, we're blaming Jimmy Lake for this. You guys come back and we'll try this again. So I mean, I certainly hope they're right. But, yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I think the value on Tumaloa is good here. I know like he's flirted with like higher in other mocks. I think middle of the second, late second is good spot for him. Just because I don't think that it's not a 15 sack ceiling. Like this is not a guy that's gonna get double digit sacks in the NFL. I think,
Sure.
but he could be like a 5 sack guy, like a 7 sack. I mean, like that's good. Like I mean, and he's gonna be one of your best run defenders. You could play him on all 3 downs. I mean, he could like the thing with Tumaloa is like his prototypical frame and traits and all this means that like if he just gets more consistent as a passer, like he actually could have a really high ceiling. Like he's kind of like Zach Harrison in that way, except I think he's a little more polished at this point than Harrison was. So,
Yeah, I'd agree on that for sure.
But I think
one other name I want to throw at you.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, yeah.
Ursery out of Minnesota.
Yeah, I was gonna say offensive tackle. Like they
Right
could,
tackle?
they could consider it.
6'6", but he actually has length. I don't know. This is somebody where I'm like, if you're thinking about a tackle for the future, have somebody behind McGarry for a year, kind of have them play that situation however it is, or I don't know. He's somebody that I think at this range would make a lot of sense for them. I honestly am surprised that he would even be here still, but that's another name. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think of. Is tackle in play at any point? I know we kind of blew by them in the first couple of rounds, but this is probably the one left on the board I think that the team would or should maybe even think about considering.
Yeah, I think like him and Ozzy Trapilo are the 2 guys that I like maybe would start to consider. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna take Ursery, like this is the ideal situation for him because he probably needs a year. And I think I'm trying to remember if I know Trapilo has played right tackle. Ursery has just played left, so yeah, he probably needs a year. But I mean it. You could see the potential. I mean, at the Senior Bowl, I thought he played really well. And huge, really good athlete. So that could be an option as well. I mean, I think value wise, I lean to Maloau, but I'm open to hearing arguments for the other guys.
Yeah, I think the only other, I think I'm realizing Marcus Mambeau's probably still on the board. That's one. That's a guy that I really like as well. But I honestly, I'm with you. I think JTT is the move here. That's like, hey man, you're like taking big swings at edge right there after going after the secondary. Spending both those round picks on a double dip situation. And both of these guys are, I think, like to your point, would be Swinson offers you the pass rush juice, 20+% win rate, and then JTT offers you the floor to be an actual 3-down defender. And the Falcons don't really have somebody who's like a 3-down defender on the edge. So I like that move. Makes a ton of sense to me, and I think we should roll with it.
Yeah, I think I agree. We'll do JTT here, but I think you get JTT, and then I think you have to move Harrison back to edge. I hope to God they do that. But like, I think you move Harrison back, and then you've got, I think, 3 guys you can rotate at one spot, which is sort of the bigger end, and that's Harrison and JTT and Braylon Trice, and then on the other spot you got now a 3 deep rotation of Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd, and Swinson. And I think that's like, I mean, I don't know if this is like a good D-line right away, but it's at least deep. Like, you've got guys there now that you just didn't have before. That intrigues me, and I think, goes a long way to potentially solving this, even though, expecting a ton from the 2 rookies this year would be unwise. Like, you got, if the most a rookie can get is 5 sacks, you get 2 of them. That's 10 sacks, right? So, we're all set. That should work just fine. But yeah, all right. So now the Falcons are at pick 118. Kyle Williams somehow still on the board here. He's ranked 63 on the big board. He's gonna go. Yeah. So I guess there's just, the NFL hates Kyle Williams apparently. We got some running backs. Sorry
Blue.
guys. Yeah, Jaden Blue. Yep. Yeah, Jaden Blue's there. Couple wide receivers. Isaac Tesla's there. Let's see. In terms of defenders, Billy Bowman Jr. at safety, Kobe Bryant at corner, Q Robinson from Alabama, Baron Sorrell from Texas, the edge rushers. Let's check the interior guys. JJ Pegways, Riley Mills, Simeon Barrow are the interior guys left. And then if we're looking at interior offensive line, Willie Lampkin, Luke Kandra, Seth McLaughlin, Jonah Monheim, all those guys are there too. Yeah, it seems like, interesting names still left here. Look at corner as well. Kobe Bryant, Noel Williams, Alexander, Elijah. Yeah. Kobe Bryant's interesting. Yeah. Is there any names there that stand out to you?
I'm surprised to hear Bryant is still there. JJ Pegways would be, I think that honestly this might be the pick where I'm thinking to go offense. I really like Jaden Blue. I know he's listed as a running back. I think he's kind of more positionless, offensive gadget guy. And I know fourth is a little probably higher than people expected. He actually wasn't even on PFF's big board on their initial release, but he's climbed all the way up to 107. And that's because he has the elite speed factor. Yeah. And I just don't think you're going to find anybody else kind of with his talent level at this pick. So he's probably like the first player I would really advocate for offense. With us having pick 159 and there still being a decent amount of centers on the board, I think I'm okay waiting. It is a little bit of a risk, because we did pass on Wilson already. I think, prioritizing need would maybe be a little bit smarter, but I think that there's like so many 4th round centers in this class that we'd still get a decent option. there's no real interior like run
Yeah,
defensive or
maybe
like nose
Pegways,
or
but
even, like anybody in
yeah,
this range right now.
yeah,
So it's kind of like a wasteland in terms of talent for that group. I think you see them later, like in rounds 5 and below.
yeah. Barrett Carter and Jack Kaiser at linebacker as well. Um, yeah, I mean, I think in terms of defense, like maybe Kobe Bryant is the guy I would consider, or Pegways. But yeah, I haven't really watched Jaden Blue. I just kind of made the mental decision to just not watch running backs other than RJ Harvey, who I watched, a ton of, just for fun. But it could be the case, and I know like if I think this is a popular place. I think this is where I usually slot in like Q Robinson or something like that. We know the Falcons are interested. This is a great place, but they've already taken 2 edge rushers, a
Yeah.
third one. They took 3 defensive tackles last year, so that's not off the table necessarily. But Kobe Bryant, I know he was great at the Shrine Bowl. Very like light. I know a lot of people compare him to like Emmanuel Forbes, but if I could get Emmanuel Forbes in like the 4th round, I'm much more willing to take that risk. The problem with Emmanuel Forbes was that he was taken in the 1st round, which was insane. But Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant in the 4th round is much more tolerable. You could see if you could put 10 pounds on him, at that point. But um,
Yeah. You know, I don't mind Barrett Carter. It's just like when I think of like this team and like the surplus of will linebackers we have, I'd almost in this scenario, I'd almost rather take the center now and then maybe see if I can land Danny Stutzman with my next pick or somebody who's just more. I'm just kind of looking for that more traditional linebacker because I feel like that's really what we're missing. We're hoping Troy is able to keep. We're still hoping. We're all all we've got that Troy can stay healthy and take that step. But Diablo's like a hybrid safety. Um, Bertrand seems like he's more of a will smaller type guy, and then Caden's our Swiss Army man. So it'd be nice to just kind of have that traditional player who can fill that Nate Lamont role, but maybe offers you a little bit more athleticism. And this is a tough pick. I'm not really sure.
yeah, I mean, like Kyle Williams, like too, like if he's
Oh,
actually
it would be
here,
fantastic.
that would be like okay. Like, I mean, I normally wouldn't take a receiver, but it's like, oh, I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not one to. I mean, this one of the best like receivers against man coverage in the draft. I mean, like I haven't really like paid as much attention to the wide receivers because again, it seems like the Falcons are going to draft defense, but everyone seems to rave about Williams as like kind of this just like sleeper receiver, and now he's no longer a sleeper because he's apparently ranked potentially on day 2 now at all. But Williams could be interesting. You mentioned Jaden Blue as well. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point, like if Williams were to actually fall, I mean, you could get your wide receiver 3 of the future. Like, I mean, because of the value, it's not really a need. Well, it's not as big of a need maybe as like defensive interior, but like you said, or like offensive interior. But like you said, like maybe you can solve that. Like maybe we can get a nose tackle with those 7th round picks. Maybe Cameron Jackson or Biggers are there. Maybe we can get a center. With this 5th round pick, one of those guys still be in there. So that could be an option too.
Yeah, and my favorite old school Madden move on franchise mode is bundling 2 7s for a 6th round pick as well. So
We can
maybe
see. We could
Buckner
try.
loves himself a little late
Mhm.
action trade up. He always tries to get him one. So maybe that's something that could also be on the table to secure those nose tackles. And if you're worried about having to sit and wait till round 7. Um, I don't know what we thinking. It sounded like it left off on Kyle Williams in terms of just sheer talent value. I don't know if that's you know the most realistic option, but
Yeah, yeah.
crazier things have happened in the draft. Kobe Bryant again. Love Kobe Bryant. I think that'd be a great pick that gives you a slot corner again that you can bring along in the fold because Malik Starks isn't going to live in the slot. And if you can get a guy that you can again just kind of actually put in the room that can grow, that's meant to be there because as much as they love to say that they're going to try Clark Phillips in the slot, he's been here for 2 years, and Jerry Gray is. They did that like in his first game, and Jerry Gray was like, "We're not doing that again." Like,
Nope.
pull the plug on that. And he got outsnapped by Natron Brooks last year in terms of slot snaps. So I'm not buying that. So that would at least be a real investment into the room for slot corner if that was the route they wanted to go. I'm going to lean on you for this one though, Kevin. You're going to have the final pick because this is this is too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that Kyle Williams being here is very, very, very unlikely. So like I wonder if it's like, okay, we probably shouldn't like take advantage of the simulator like this, like we're just like stealing. Because I do think like Kobe Bryant is likely to be here or has a chance to be here at least. And probably more is more needs focused. So if you're good with Bryant, I would probably go with Bryant too, just because I think corner is a much bigger need than wide receiver 3. And I think next year they'll probably just like throw a premium pick at wide receiver 3 if they can, assuming these defensive picks hit, right? So
yeah.
So that's a big assumption, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at. Is like if you really want to upgrade, like Ray is like a very respectable slot receiver. So if you actually want to upgrade Ray, you're probably gonna have to spend at least a day 2 pick on it. We'll see if they can make that happen. But we'll go with Kobe Bryant here in the interest of draft fairness, and not taking advantage of the poor mock draft simulator. We're just too clever for it. So now we got 3 picks left. One in the 5th round that we acquired via trade, and then the 2 7ths, and we could potentially try to package those, move them up potentially. So we'll see. Yeah, Kyle Williams is still here. My guess is that there's an error with his player card, like the team.
Oh, you know what it is?
Him. Yeah.
They probably just updated his player ranking, but it's probably getting weighted by like where he's been going the whole time. So the system's got to catch up or whatever.
Yeah. So
I still see him here on mine.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So we'll leave Mr. Williams be, seeing as he's almost certainly not gonna be here at this point. But yeah, we got let's see who we got here. I know we were looking at centers. So we got Seth McLaughlin, Jonah Monheim, and Jake Majors available. Let's see, on the defensive interior, we got Tonka Hemingway, Ty Robinson, Tim Smith, Junior Tafuna, and then we got Biggers and Cameron Jackson, who maybe we'll try to make a package to get up for one of those guys. We'll see. And then we got... let's see. We got a bunch of quarterbacks, like Kyle McCord. Like, honestly, like, if they're going to trade Kirk, like, I wouldn't be opposed to getting Kyle McCord to be a backup. I think he, showed a lot this year at Syracuse and is actually looks like a respectable backup quarterback to me. But I don't know how serious they're going to be about addressing that. There's a bunch of other stuff, too. I know Dante Thornton, the wide receiver from Tennessee, has a lot of fans. Also Isaac Tesla, Ty Felton, Kanata Mumpfield, those guys in this range as well. RJ Oben at edge rusher. Just scrolling through and seeing anybody else that looks interesting. Logan Brown, the tackle from Kansas. I know the Falcons were visiting with him. Usually they don't have a 5th round pick, so I can never draft him. So
yeah, a lot of intriguing options. I think, McLaughlin. I think that he would be an interesting pick. Like, obviously, a little worried, like coming off the injury. I think that he would also kind of signal kind of a little bit of a shift, maybe stylistically. He would just give them some different options with his profile as a center. Jonah Monheim is kind of who I really like as the best option for the Falcons, like in terms of center in this range. He would, fit in with the zone scheme really well. He has played, he's had tons of starts at the tackle positions. He's had starts at guard. While I don't think he has the ability to be a swing tackle for you, I think that his play history out there transferred really well inside in terms of pass protecting, and I think he was one of the best. One of the best pass protecting centers in this class, if not the best one. He's a sensational anchor. I think he's somebody that would, if you're looking to kind of bolster up this passing attack, he's somebody that would make a lot of sense. That I think is going to be able to help keep Penix clean, because interior pressure is just going to be is one of the bigger issues that affects quarterbacks. So really like that option. I don't know what else do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider like Logan Brown as well. I know Monheim. I think I haven't watched Monheim. I think he measured him with just like really short arms. Like I feel like that's the theme of like these day 3 centers. Like Majors has like 30-inch arms. I think Monheim had like 31 and a half.
These are almost 32. He's like
yeah. So that's not so bad for a center, but yeah, like Majors, like I love Majors tape. It's just like, oh my god, like I can't believe your arms are that short. Like I had no idea. Like I mean, honestly, I mean you could tell he didn't have great length, but that's why he's playing center. So those are two. I mean, I think Logan Brown, I think is very interesting. A guy that has played a full season at right tackle. He could probably come in too if you're looking for that. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the guys I would probably lean on. I think like Kobe King is still here, at linebacker. There's definitely like receivers you could consider adding, like Dante Thornton or Andrew Armstrong or like those type of guys.
I think Stutzman would be a real option here.
Oh yeah, I think he's still here. Yeah, he is. He is. If you're looking for that Nate Landman replacement, right?
Yeah, and
I mean, yeah,
like low it's on Stutzman at the beginning of the cycle, just because he was originally being like, people were writing him in as like a second or third round pick, and I always just kind of thought he was like a 4th round talent. I actually think getting him here at 159, even though PFF has him ranked like much lower, I'm not really sure why his ranking has. Why his stock has really tumbled. He had a really good combine. His athletic testing was actually much better than most people thought it would be. And yeah, like we're talking about like a Nate Landman replacement with upside. He is a much better athletic profile than Landman had. He offers you, I think really good, smart instincts. He probably has the best natural, like he would probably have the best natural inside linebacker instincts. Like if he was drafted, Bertrand would maybe have better. His tape looked fine, but his rookie tape, the instincts weren't really,
maybe it's this defense. I don't know. Everybody looked like crap in this defense.
Chalking up to it was this defense, but at like 6'4", 240, just really like what he offers you as a run defender. And the Falcons have brought in so many coverage linebackers, and they have so many in the room at this point that it actually makes sense, and they have the room to bring in a guy that you would have for early downs, and then rotate off the field. But if they got caught out there with Stutzman, it would not be as dire as it was with Landman. It wouldn't be great.
Like if he's out there on a 2-minute Hail Mary or like 10-second Hail Mary. They got 2 linebackers on the field.
yeah, less of that,
At least he could run fast though. So like he could at least cover some ground. But yeah, I've always been a 5th round linebacker fan. Like to me, that's like the linebacker round. Like you find 5th round starting linebackers every single year in the NFL. It's usually where the value will be at that position. So I like that, but we're basically like punting on center, which, is fine with me because I think at this point it's kind of like
that seems what they're doing.
Yeah, they're just gonna sign a veteran at this point, I imagine. Or I mean, Javon Gwynn technically is here, so
yeah, and it's tough. I think I probably would take center in this situation, but
we can.
Basically, like I know I'm not the Falcons, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're all too worried. If we've made it to this point, on draft night without a center, it kind of seems like, well, you should probably just take the best player at this point. And I think Stutzman is the better player.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. We could just make the theme of this draft F them centers, and just we'll see it just neglect it entirely. Well, Ryan, it's Newsel season. All right, it's time for the news flash.
It's
Um,
it's it's the Hennessy plan all over again.
maybe Hennessy will become available again. We could bring him back. But
Yeah, we'll
uh,
get the whole band back together.
yep, yep. I usually don't take Stutzman, so like I mean I think that we don't have a 5th round pick typically, so I think this is a good Stutzman spot. We could do that, and that gives them a boost to that position group that I think is like he's ready to play. Like I think if you wait any longer on linebacker, you're basically looking at all the project guys.
Yeah.
At guys that are probably gonna be special teams only. I think Stutzman can come in and play. Like
I think you're gonna get actual
Yeah.
snap. Yeah, like it
So-
would make a lot of sense.
yeah, let's do
Um,
it. Let's do Stutzman. Okay, so after I draft Stutzman, I'm gonna turn the speed down, and we're gonna try. You want to try to see if we can pull off like
Get
a
the
trade up for
lotto.
somebody? Yeah.
I'm thinking like 200 pick range, or like we're at like 218. If we could get up to like 200 or even late 190s.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do here. All right, here we go. All right, we're in the 180s. Let's see. Okay, 191. Let's see if we can convince the Broncos to part with this pick for these 2/7. No, it's too early still. Too early.
Sean Payton just being a hater.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep going. Try 194. Nope. No dice.
Man, the computer's learning.
They're learning. We'll go to 200. See if we can make this work. 201. I missed it. It's okay. All right. 12% chance. Okay, getting warmer. Getting warmer. Go to 204. Let's go. Come on. 45% chance. Getting warmer. Getting warmer. All right. 205. 206. Okay. All right. All right. 206. We can make 206 happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's pull the trigger. We're gonna bundle up here.
Wait. I didn't get them to accept it. Hold on. It'll be 208. Excuse me. The only guys that went in between then were Kamire, DK, and Ollie Gordon. So I don't think we were considering them anyway. We'll say they can probably trade up to like 205, 206, maybe. We'll consider that for the purposes.
Hey,
of
am I
this.
not? If it's 10 spots, if we get our guy, we get our guy.
Yeah.
Are our boys there, Kevin?
They're not. They went in like the mid 190s, but Ty Robinson's there. He's interesting.
No.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't let me look like while we were, doing this, but
Wow.
both of them,
Wow.
yeah. I think Cameron Jackson went like 199 and Biggers went 198. So yeah, I'm not sure if they'll be able to get up that high to get those guys, but I do think Ty Robinson is interesting. There's some like Andrew Armstrong at receiver, I think is really interesting. I know people like him, kind of Bumfield. Let's see. Jake Majors.
The best name on the board.
What's that? Who has the best name? Yeah, let's find out. I know LeJonte's here. Yeah.
That's my guy right there.
Yeah.
Teddy Buchanan. Ooh.
Joquavius Marks.
Is Luke Leckie on
Yeah,
yours?
Luke Lackey's there. Yep. Keep the Iowa tight end tradition alive.
You can't go wrong taking an Iowa tight end.
Oh man, LaQuint Allen. Love me some LaQuint Allen. If you're looking for a receiving back. I do think this guy's listed very low here, but I do think he's actually going to go higher. Holland Pierce from Rutgers. He's played both left and right tackle. He's huge. Man. He's 6'8", 340. I think they could trade up for a developmental tackle, and just not risk him falling essentially, or not risk him getting drafted like early ahead of them. Pierce, I think, is like really underrated. Like I watched like highlights. It's good. He pancakes some guys, you know. So in the 7th round, I mean, that's pretty good for me. So, yes. Anyone in particular you're pulling for?
Tre'Shon Holden. Something about that guy.
Yeah.
Really standing out to me. We could get Jalen Walker. Everybody wants Jalen Walker. We can get Jalen Walker here.
Technically, we have Jalen Walker at home.
We have Jalen Walker. Indiana legend Jalen Walker, that is.
Yep. I know LeJohntay Wester has a lot of fans. I mean, I know he's tiny, but 7th round trade up. I mean, I could get behind that.
Yeah.
Great
Short
returner.
Guy, good build. Has lit it up at Shrine, so I mean, like he would be a fun option. I don't know, your guy Thor Griffith. You know, we're talking about needing to throw something. You know, I've learned since our last discussion about this player, Kevin, that this guy has a degree from Harvard. Apparently.
Whoa.
So I'm just saying the name check mark. Weird fact that people can endlessly reference. Check. We've got the Harvard grad. So, you know, I don't know. We tried throwing a pick on a DT last year. He got robbed from us. Thor Griffith.
Yeah, I mean, he's interesting. I know Ty Robinson has a lot of fans too. Thor is interesting. The only thing that gives me Thor has like short arms, but so I don't know if the Falcons would like take him. But like it's the 7th round. I mean, you know,
just saying,
nobody's clean at this point. Yeah,
bigger brain. He's going to be able to do things out there mentally.
I have no questions about his ability to crush it in terms of football IQ.
Like Wreck-It Ralph. If you look at him, he's very square. He just kind of has, I don't know, like some are saying poor man's Mason Graham, short arms, square build. I don't know.
It's also, I think you were asking about the best name, and that's probably the best name too. So there's a lot going in his favor. So we let's do a little Thor Griffith action here to finish the draft. Falcons trade up for Thor Griffith. All right, they're not messing around with him.
That's right. I forgot we traded up.
Well, you know, maybe we should have looked who was there, but you know, maybe not. I mean,
BFF wouldn't show us. It's not ours.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I could have looked somehow, but you know, we live and learn here, right? It can be
talked off the Thor Griffith ledge if need be, but I don't know. Yeah. I think I just sold myself on it.
Yeah, no, the 7th round. I mean, who cares? Nobody wanted to. The Falcons didn't want to stay until 242. They didn't really care who was here. They just wanted to get out the building.
We already won.
Let's get out of here. Yeah, we've won. I mean, if they actually have this draft, like maybe they would have a claim to winning the draft. So trade up for Thor Griffith so we can go home. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's our full 7-round mock drafts. What do you know? We got out of making pick 242 after all. You thought you were gonna make us do it after we didn't trade it away in the trade down, but no, we trade it away and we get Thor Griffith technically in the 6th round. Technically, 208 is part of the 6th round or whatever pick we got. So exciting stuff. Malachi Starks. You guys can see the thing here on the side. We got Malachi Starks at pick 23 after a trade down with the Packers. Then we got edge rusher Braden Swinson from LSU. At 46, and then at 54, we go back to the well. JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State. Double up on edge rusher. PFF loves our first 3 picks, all A's. So, you know, I really crave PFF's approval in these for sure. And then round 4, we go with Kobe Bryant to get another talented cornerback in here. And we're going to put him on the all mac and cheese peanut butter sandwich diet this offseason to get him into the 180s. I think if he can get into the 180s, he'll be okay. He's physical. His run defense is actually really good. I was surprised. But in the NFL, it's going to be a little harder. It's going to be a little harder. We got Danny. Speaking of run defense, Danny Stutzman with our 5th round pick we picked up from the Packers and then traded up so we can go home for Thor Griffith from Louisville. Give the short arm king. Soler, the fat guy from Florida, was gone. We tried. All right, I wasn't paying attention.
That was who the trade was for.
That was who it was for. We were going for Cameron Jackson. Yeah. So maybe in real life the Falcons could work the phones better than me. He wants Desmond Watson, the true fat guy from Florida, the dude that's like 450.
We don't need to draft. He's UDFA. We got him locked up.
We're just gonna put him at 0, and it's like, bro, just stand there, just like teach him the knee drop, right, and then just bam, like good luck. Hey
man, 464 over 2 foot vertical is honestly an insane amount of power being generated. I'm just saying.
I'm like, sold. Yeah,
that's it. I'm like, you trying to get that much weight over 2 feet off the air? Have fun.
Yeah.
I see the vision. I see the vision.
It. Yeah, I don't even know if he's in the simulator yet, but yeah, that's a good one, Soler. Like, if I promise we'll work Desmond Watson in to the mock draft. We will walk Desmond Watson into the mock draft at some point. We're going to do it. Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry about that. If I have to make pick 242, it's going to be Desmond Watson just for you. But guys, thank you so much. Supporters, patrons, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Moonstar, Soler, Jeremy Katau, everybody who submitted questions and comments and things like that on Patreon or YouTube channel memberships. We appreciate you guys' support. It's a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, helping us make these picks. We will be back, of course, on Wednesday for another episode of Falcoholic Live as we continue the march towards the draft. If we can, we'll try to get one more of these maybe before the draft, like draft week. It'll probably be like mock draft to Palooza. We'll do like one every day or something. So maybe we'll do one more of these supporter mocks like draft week. But if we don't, we had a lot of fun with you guys, and we'll figure out some more fun shows we can take part in this summer. But yeah, thank you guys so much. If you're joining us after the recording and you're not a patron or a YouTube channel member, you can get in on this action going forward. Sign up anytime. All tiers get access to the content, and we also, just appreciate it. Like, that's just nice as well. But please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the episode. Who would you have taken, or do you agree 100% with what we've done here? Basically saying FDEM centers. That's what we'll call this mock draft. As we, just take this is the edge rush draft. All right, we just take 2 edge rushers in the second round, and we'll just throw as many picks as we can at the pass rush and hope that it works out. And then, of course, walk away with Malachi Starks in the first round. I'm pretty excited about that. Tre'Shon, any closing thoughts on this class?
Again, it's just like kind of like been repeated throughout, but like there's so many ways for the Falcons to be able to acquire good players in this class. Really hoping that they're able to make a trade down scenario work. I think that's why they've been doing so much work. This feels like one of the most with all the top 30 visits that have been announced, private workouts. There's been multiple different private workouts. I think the Falcons are trying to generate some buzz that they, once again could be in for anybody. So if there's a player that falls that another team likes, come calling because you never know. And, I'm wishing them the best. And again, I'm excited that we are less than 20 days now from the draft. It's almost here. And then we all get to talk about how they did such a good job. And we're all so happy.
Nailed it.
With everything they did.
Mm-hmm. We'll be so happy. There will be no picks we disagree with. It'll be harmony. Totally. In my dreams, yes. In my dreams, that's what happens. But yeah, probably in reality, you guys know what to expect. But we will, of course, be live for the NFL draft. So no matter what happens, you'll get to hear me talk about it at the very least. Maybe that'll help you feel better. Maybe not. But it probably depends on who they pick and what I think about it, right? So they, I feel like a trade down is probably going to happen, or they need to try to make it happen. I know. Can't remember who it was tweeted out, but basically like everybody knows like 15 and 24 are the trade up spots. Like those are 2 teams that are going to move down or want to. So if you want to get up for somebody, those are your spots that these teams are open for business. So it seems like it's kind of publicly known Atlanta's open for business. And I hope they break the streak and finally pull off a trade out in the first round that we haven't seen since like the 1980s, 90s. Yeah. It's been a long ass time. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here on the this live Tuesday Takes Falcons mock draft edition of the show. Like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday, and then trying to line up a guest for Friday's pod as well. So we'll see if I can lay the groundwork for that. And obviously, now that D. Alford's back in the fold, I assume the show's back on. D still wants to come on. He just wanted to make sure his free agency was set first. So now it seems like we're good to go. So we'll work on that as well. Probably going to be after the draft, I would think, because we're going to be slammed, before the draft. But I know D was excited to come in here and talk a little bit about what was going on and give his take on sort of, I think, the defense and the things he was asked to do. I'm excited to hear what he has to say, and I think it could be very illuminating on many things. So excited to get that going. But guys, thank you for joining us. He's Tre'Shon Diaz at Tre'Shon, Tre'Shon.io on the Blue Skies. I'm Kevin. I have Falcoholic Kevin. Check out the Falcoholic.com as well for all that great stuff. Until next time, guys, we'll see you. Have a great night.